To truth, only a brief celebration of victory is allowed between the two long periods during which it is condemned as paradoxical.
The writing's on the wall, but if your mind's neglected, stumble you might fall, stumble you might fall, stumble you might fall.
Welcome to another segment of D.B. Cooper, Through the Lens of Logic. Now in the last video, I talked about the Cooper paradox matrix. Here it is, and the thing I wanted to point out before we continue is that you have to look at, it's actually two different paradoxes. There's one in the upper two quadrants and one in the lower two quadrants. And for simplicity purposes, I'm going to go ahead and give those numerical values, just based on the mathematical quadrants. So you have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? We're going to go through these one by one in just a moment. I want to talk about the nature of a paradox. And typically, these paradoxes in general emerge from linguistic issues. Issues with language, dual meanings, equivocation, that kind of thing. So they arise generally because of error. And actually many paradoxes arise because of some kind of circular logic or self-referencing premise or premises. Some really well-known paradoxes such as Curry's paradox or Russell's paradox have these kind of issues built in them. And the Cooper paradox is no stranger. It also has a circular logic component to it, a self-referencing logic component to it, which is actually what helps create the paradox. And let me give you an example. This argument here, we know that Cooper landed elsewhere because he died, was actually an argument made by FBI agent Larry Carr on his appearance on the Stephen Reinhardt radio show a few years back. And he appeared on the radio show just after I had published those maps, the mosaic maps that showed everything. And in parentheses, you'll see that I also said that this argument affirms the consequent, but that's the least of the issues when it comes to this particular argument. It's actually circular, which you can see here. All these premises, and there's 4 of them I put on this particular diagram here, but they're all unanswered questions in of themselves. None of them are actually factual. And actually, when you look at what is begging the question, it's begging the question just means you're circling around, and you didn't really, you're using the answer as a premise to the very question you're asking. And you know, whether or not Cooper died, and they look at these other factors, and actually none of them are conclusive whatsoever. And just like Curry's paradox, the Cooper paradox emerges because of this exact circular logic. So the question is, how do you resolve a paradox? Because here we are, we're still stuck with this thing. We need to figure out how to forge forward. And I'm going to go through these one by one, and just real quick, the statements don't really imply a contradiction. The puzzle's not really a contradiction, or the premises are not really true or can't be true together. Okay, so that's the three ways of really dealing with a paradox. So let's go through these one by one. Number 1, statements don't really imply a contradiction. Well, I'll tell you a little story. One night, after a kid's softball game, the father and son were driving home on a long, windy road, and it began getting icy. And they were going 60 miles an hour, and the car swerved sideways like this and hit a tree. It killed the dad, threw the son sideways out the side window, and the ambulance came, and the dad was pronounced dead at the scene. They rushed him to the hospital, and they took him into the ER. And as the kid goes into the ER, the surgeon, with the mask, is ready to go, puts on the gloves, looks at the patient, looks at the boy, and says, "I'm going to have to recuse myself because this is my son." So, in this first way of dealing with a paradox, does the surgeon's statement actually imply a contradiction? Okay, number 2, the puzzle is not really a contradiction at all. So we think it is, but it's not really a puzzle. It's not really a contradiction at all. So my example here is a 21-year-old who just celebrated his 5th birthday. If you can figure that out by introducing another premise, then you've solved that particular riddle. And the third way to deal with the paradox is really to look at it and say the premises aren't really true and they can't be true together. And an example of that is the liar's paradox, which would basically state, all people from Atlantis only tell lies. I, in fact, am from Atlantis. Well, we know that one or both of those statements must be false, because if they're both true, you have a contradiction, you have a paradox. So, now that we've talked a little bit about how to resolve a paradox, in the next video I'm going to discuss how the FBI and other enthusiasts have attempted to resolve this Cooper paradox. Which of these 3 things do you think they have chosen? Which of these choices do you think they've chosen to go after? And what are the odds that they were correct in which one they're choosing? So we're going to explore this in the next video, and I'll give you a clue. They didn't really look at this objectively, and it boils down to them failing to use the lens of logic. So I will see you in the next video. It's going to get very interesting. This is where the rubber meets the road.